A lot of people believe that success, whether in academics or any field, comes down to a few key ingredients. They think that to reach this so-called perfect future, there is a need for constant motivation, a lot of hustle, and this sort of reluctant action-taking, type of forced discipline. A common piece of advice is that you have to stay motivated and disciplined. Like you need to force this motivation. But why doesn't that come naturally? We know we want to do it. We know it's the right thing to do, yet we can't get ourselves to do this. That just doesn't make sense. Maybe you see some powerful content and feel strongly motivated, take action few times, and then, after few sessions, days, or even hours, lose all willingness to go on. Personally, it makes me angry, the ridiculousness of this whole thing. Like there is this invisible barrier that prevents us from taking action. Additionally, it's not only invisible, but so vague and hidden that you can't even begin to understand what it is or where it is, yet alone how to get rid of it. Perhaps, like many people, you've gone through a ton of reading, watched a lot of videos, and seen countless examples of others making it. But you're still stuck, unable to pinpoint where is the issue. This blockade is like a wall or a fence built from a very strong material, with high electrical current running through it and with spikes that hurt you if you touch them. Now, how do we get on the other side of that barricade? You can try jumping over it, digging under it, or somehow shutting down the generator. There are few ways to go about it. Discipline is the approach to face the wall head-on. You could compare it to pushing the wall with your bare hands or smashing it with your forehead. And if that fails and hurts, do it again and again until it works. As you can see, not the best approach. Another way of handling the situation is a method that can be compared to going entirely around the wall. We all know nobody is motivated all the time, and we are not aware of our plans or goals every minute of the day. To help us remember that, we need some kind of cue that will make us think about it. But first of all, we need a vision of future. But don't assume you already have it. There's a 99% chance it's not what we're looking for in this approach. Remember that all you did earlier did not work. You were still procrastinating and you were skipping session and not feeling motivated. If your vision was enough, you would have succeeded. But you didn't, right? You need to create a different kind of vision. Not a vision of everything you want from the thing you're pursuing. It's a vast concept, and every time we imagine where we will be, it's easy to get swept away by the scale of it. You need a very clear image of that one very little aspect of your life. We all begin with a goal in mind, but right now, we need it to take a back seat. If we fixate on the reward after the work itself will always be a chore we just want to finish. That feeling, how many more times, will always hit before we even start. So make your vision about the action itself, not just the life after its completion. Another point is to avoid limiting yourself to a mental picture. Your vision needs to be filled with visuals and sensations. Don't just imagine it, embody it, focusing on things you would want to feel again. Feel what your muscles feel performing that action. Hear the sounds, sense the surroundings, make yourself present in that moment. This part is very important. We humans tend to respond to sensations better than mere thoughts. The final step is to grab a pen, not your phone, and write down all the benefits that motivate you to take action toward your goal. It's crucial to only write the pros that speak to you, not the ones that others might view as good. Also, don't limit yourself to what comes to mind in this moment. Sit down and think about it. Add it to the list when something pops up in random moment. Maybe when you are showering later or playing a game. You may not create this vision right away, so give it time. You know that the vision is complete when on the mere thought of it, you feel sensations in your body that make you want to stand up and do it, exactly like the highs you get from watching motivational videos. Pause and create it right away. So now that you have it, you need to understand that there are distractions all around us. It's not entirely bad or entirely good, but we have them in our life and we want to remember about this mental image that we created all the time. So you need to make a visual or auditory reminder. Best of both at once and not just one reminder, but several. A cue is a note on a fridge, poster on a wall, shoe on a floor, sound of a squeaky chair, random reflection of light in your room, anything. Anything that when noticed will direct your thoughts towards something specific. You have tons of those cues and they dictate your life. What you need to do is create one or few that will make you think about your vision. To assist you with that, here are some guidelines for selecting a cue. First of all, it needs to be noticeable. If you pick a can of food in the back of the top kitchen drawer, it's not gonna do you any good. The food doesn't attract attention as it's in its usual spot and blends in with the surroundings. And if you don't open the drawer regularly, you won't have much of a chance to spot it. That item must be something you wouldn't typically expect in that space, and it should be positioned somewhere you often find yourself looking. Furthermore, associating an object with your goal doesn't guarantee that you'll immediately think about your goal when you see it. The object needs to grab your attention for a second or two for your mind to make the connection. Another important thing to keep in mind is to avoid using cues you've used before for the task. For instance, if you used an alarm to remind yourself to study in the past, it won't be effective for your new goal because the sound will bring back the old association. The task may be the same, but with that trigger, you will remember the reluctance and everything and anything that you felt that came with the old viewpoint. You can say this cue is already taken. Sure, you can reshape them in the future, but it's better not to do it early on. The final tip is to pick the right cue at the right time. If you use the sound of your keys as a reminder, it might not work well because you'll hear it just when you're leaving the house, which isn't ideal because you won't act on it right away. Same thing happens when you want to play a video game. You'll notice that most people first turn on their PC and then sit in their chair afterward. So if you place a fart pillow on your chair as a reminder, you'll notice it once you're all comfy and set to play. A better strategy would be to align a cue within the line of sight when looking in the general direction of the computer. Those small details might seem trivial, but trust me, they actually change everything. You can make building your future feel seamless. People often associate work with struggle, but that's not true when you're genuinely motivated to do it. Consider the activities you enjoy, whether it's gaming, watching TikToks, or going out with friends. You don't feel any resistance to choose them. Why is that? It's easy to argue that these things have natural or purposefully crafted features that draw us in, making us crave them. But that's not always true, because you probably know people who don't like socializing or don't care for video games. The answer is in hidden payoff. We feel inspired because the action delivers something we desire, and it's different for everyone. With things we do every day, we don't need to know what this payoff is, and we often don't. We just do them for the fun of it. People tend to think that anything categorized as work supposed to be unpleasant and hard. It's partially why we feel that strong resistance. We need to overcome that. Usually, when we think about studying, our process looks something like this. I will need to read the text, try to understand some, perhaps take notes and then memorize it. We focus on the basic aspects of this action given by the definition, follow a step-by-step checklist, and if any part is skipped, we consider the session uneventful, as though no progress was made. We really do this, and the worst thing is that we don't even realize it. What we need to do is focus on the action itself. With studying, the only objective is to gain knowledge, right? The way we obtain it doesn't matter. As long as we obtain it, we are successful. However, the method of obtaining it affects how we perceive this task. If you've ever touched a hot stove, you've experienced the burn and pain, and you wouldn't want to repeat it. Same with everything else. If we don't like the experience, we will do whatever we can to avoid it or delay it for as long as possible. If we want action to repeat, we need to enjoy the experience. Okay, but how exactly are we supposed to do that? First and foremost, staying present is key. We shouldn't let our minds wander or detach from the experience. Most of the time, our thoughts drift away from the present, and our actions happen unconsciously through habit. We don't even notice this happening. But when we do something we like, we are fully engaged, making that moment different from the rest of the day. It's somewhat like being in the zone or meditating, if you've ever felt that state. You need to let the background and surroundings fade away, keeping your mind fully in the present, focusing only on the sensations you feel in that moment, not caring about time passing or worrying about doing that and that before tonight ends. We try to numb ourselves to our feelings when engaging in study or tasks we label as work, and it's the main reason we resist so much when choosing to do them. And that's not the right approach. We must feel everything, whether good or not, that comes with that action. The second important thing is finding something we genuinely like about the activity and doing it in that enjoyable manner. I know, it sounds crazy. What possibly we can enjoy about, let's say, math? Personally, I found that in math, I loved skipping the tedious, multi-step calculations and solving most problems in my head. It gave me a sort of feeling of being smarter than the average student who had to do all of that. I also enjoyed identifying the mistakes in my own equations when my answer didn't match the correct one, because it gave me a sense of accomplishment to find the errors on my own. It all sounds so vague and little and perhaps stupid, but it really worked. It worked to that extent that I don't remember ever having bad experience when doing math. Of course, there were times when I didn't felt like even starting, and then I didn't, but never ever have I felt reluctance when actually solving math equations. It made the times when I felt like saying, I really don't want to do this right now, occur much less often. In order to find joy in your task, consider any time at all when you genuinely enjoyed it and pinpoint the elements that made it enjoyable. If you can't recall any specific moments, examine other activities you frequently do, identify the aspects you like, and try applying them to the task you're working on. Both of these things are vital to this method working. Without them, it won't succeed. And they complement each other greatly, where the first one lets us fully enjoy the experience, and the second helps us stay in the zone. You have to realize that mindset plays a huge role in achieving your goals. Most of our problems are only in the mind, so we've got to think in a way that doesn't create unnecessary obstacles. But I'm not talking about following quotes like stay positive or keep going or any other mainstream slogans. Any type of mindset shapes how you react to different experiences and how you interpret them. And what we think and feel dictates our next choice. In working toward your goals, progress is built through consistent repetition, not just a one-time action. So our future choices need to align with desired direction and to ensure they do, we must avoid letting our mind create problems. I'm not saying that this forced motivation or motivation high that we are getting from videos is bad. It's actually a good starting point. But we've lived long enough and experienced a lot of situations to see that it's just not working as well as we'd like. That in a long run, this approach fails. Same with discipline. Sure, you've probably conquered a few things through it, and now things come more easily, but as you push for more progress, the struggle feels tougher than ever before. But discipline is not the only approach, nor is it the best or most efficient one. One of my favorite motivational movie quotes is, "Obsession beats talent every time." It emphasizes that sheer determination and hard work can outshine natural ability. However, I personally like the version that uses the word passion better. The difference is that, with obsession, you use some amount of mental bandwidth on the hustle and pain. Initially beneficial actions can become harmful over time if mental bandwidth is stretched too wide, resulting in reduced effectiveness and potential setbacks. Obsession also makes it difficult to identify the breaking point between too little and too much, because you tend to numb yourself to pain and fatigue, which are indicators of said point. But with passion, you avoid all of that. If you work because you want to, not out of obligation, you'll get lost in it and won't feel drained, even as hours go by. Consistency will become second nature, and you'll rarely encounter times when you're unmotivated or reluctant to continue. Make no mistake, chasing the dream this way still requires doing the work. Regardless of the approach, the amount of work needed to achieve the goal remains the same. The difference is that it's no longer challenging, because hard refers to both mental and physical effort. In anything that you do, 90% of the battle is in the mind, and with the right approach, the mental aspect ceases to be an obstacle and becomes an advantage. The work that we usually compare to something stressful or unwanted becomes a fun task that you enjoy doing. Now remember, how you interpret things, your perspective, is what really matters. Some people claim that setting big and clear goals and staying focused on them is the key to success. But that line of thinking is wrong. We do not rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our systems. The system is the essential part of the process. The destination is just an added bonus. So have an amazing journey and enjoy experiences along the way. Hopefully, they will uplift you.